Worldwide, 300 million surveillance cameras are watching us on our streets, at work, and in our homes. They capture things that seem impossible.
It defies the laws of physics.
Oh, this is unbelievable, man.
Experts carry out forensic analysis of these unusual events.
There's got to be some explanation for what's going on.
Coming up, surveillance cameras find a monster in a city sewer.
Whatever that thing is, I'm not going near it.
A gas station customer becomes a human fireball.
There were sparks flying everywhere. The pain was excruciating.
An ancient curse brings a statue to life.
To see this thing spinning, it's really creepy.
And security cameras capture a close encounter.
Oh my God! I cannot explain what happened at that moment.
Bizarre phenomena, mysteries caught on surveillance. What's the truth behind this strange evidence? Surveillance cameras capture a spontaneous combustion.
I looked down and I saw these flames. I thought I was gonna die.
At a gas station, it's a nightmare scenario.
What the heck is happening? What possibly could cause somebody to explode like that?
Pants don't just burst into flames. We need to figure out what's going on here.
Owensboro, Kentucky, February 20th, 2016. It's a regular Saturday morning at a local gas station. 24-hour surveillance cameras see everything. – 9 a.m. The cameras capture a customer entering the store.
We get maybe 1,000 people coming in every day here, and he was one of them.
Still recording, the cameras film something extraordinary.
And next minute, a really loud blast happened. It was louder than fireworks.
The unfortunate customer is Owensboro local Josh Hamilton.
I was actually off work for the day. I was gonna go meet a buddy, so I just stopped for a drink and maybe some snacks or something. I was paying for my food, and the attendant gave me my change. I put my change in my pocket, and there was a huge explosion. It sounded like a gun going off. My pants caught on fire. There were sparks flying everywhere. I was very afraid.
Josh has no idea what's happening. Flames rip through his pants. Intense heat, over 900 degrees, melts his skin.
The pain was excruciating. There's just a sharp, sharp pain shooting up my leg.
He's acutely aware of his surroundings.
I ran outside just to keep everybody safe and to keep the store from possibly catching on fire.
He was running outside, and there was 10, 12 gas pumps out there. I was thinking that, the whole place could blow up.
Attendants tackle the burning man.
They rushed out with me and put the fire out as I was trying to take my pants off, so it was a pretty chaotic scene.
Pants don't just burst into flames normally, so we need to figure out what's going on here.
The gas station posts the surveillance footage online. The clip goes viral with nearly 500,000 hits. Some suspect a loose bullet may have gone off in the man's pocket. Pyrotechnic specialist Mike Sansom is a chemical engineer. He has over 20 years of experience in explosives technology.
Everyone knows what happens when a bullet goes off in a gun. It's got a tremendous energy and a bullet flies out. So, out of a gun, would a bullet produce all these flames that you see in his pocket?
Sansom builds a rig to test the bullet theory. He uses a spring-loaded device to act as a primer for the bullet. The homemade primer does its job. A spectacular result, but does it match the explosion in the surveillance footage?
Bullets are explosive, but they're not as explosive as what you saw in that video. They don't produce lots of fire, and it's not sustained for a long amount of time. It's really quick, and it's over in a flash.
Experts return to the surveillance footage looking for clues relating to the fire raging in Josh's pocket.
So to make fire, you need three things. You need fuel, you need oxygen, and you need an ignition source. So in this video, we know that we have air, oxygen, but what is the fuel and what is the ignition source?
When material scientist Matthew McDowell studies the footage, he sees telltale signs of a particular type of explosive reaction.
You see the sharp rush of flame that comes out. That's potentially due to a buildup of pressure somewhere.
Josh Hamilton's recollection seems to back up McDowell's explosion theory.
It looked like there was a firework going off in my pocket and shooting sparks everywhere.
Clearly, there's an enormous amount of energy being released by whatever is in this guy's pocket. So there's some kind of energy storage that's taking place that's being reversed. Energy is being released.
Matthew McDowell believes he knows what the cause might be.
Considering the pressure buildup and the flame that was ejected and the fact that it came from this person's pocket, it leads me to believe that it was probably a lithium-ion battery that caused this explosion.
News reports from around the world suggest that the number of lithium-ion battery fires is increasing. Laptops, cell phones, even airliners have been endangered.
Almost everybody these days walks around with a lithium-ion battery in their pockets. That battery could become a bomb. It's kind of scary to think about the amount of potentially explosive energy that you're carrying around in your pocket with you.
From our daily experience, we know that our batteries don't just randomly explode. So the question is, what happened in this particular video?
Sansom suspects some kind of short circuit in a battery may have created the fireball. He builds a rig to replicate a battery short circuit. Within seconds, the battery overheats. Superheated liquid ruptures the casing. The battery explodes into flames. It's an identical chain of events to what's seen in the surveillance footage. But how is it possible for a simple short circuit to be so catastrophic?
When a battery short circuits, the terminals come together, and this feeds all the energy of the battery through and back into the battery, which in turn causes it to heat up and actually explode.
Coming up, a mutant life form beneath the city streets.
It looks something like a pulsating sac. I mean, it makes you wonder what kind of creature might burst out of this.
And find out why the battery in this man's pocket short circuits, creating an explosive fireball.
It's definitely possible that it's discharging while he's walking into the store and he doesn't even know it.
Scientists believe that a faulty lithium battery starts the fire in Josh Hamilton's pocket. But Hamilton's cell phone survives the fireball intact. Does he have some other lithium-powered device?
I had an e-cig battery in my pocket. It's the same size as any other battery, and I didn't really think anything of it.
Josh Hamilton is one of 9 million vapors in the U.S. With so many e-cigarettes on the market, design flaws can happen.
A poorly manufactured cigarette with a flaw in the battery can allow this kind of release of energy, the short circuit, the heat, the flames, the eruption.
Matthew McDowell believes he knows what triggers the explosive event.
If you were to cause an external short circuit, maybe if a coin got lodged between the terminals of a battery, it can cause the battery to discharge very fast. Because this battery is in his pocket and there are metal coins in his pocket, it's definitely possible that it's discharging while he's walking into the store and he doesn't even know it.
A faulty e-cigarette battery combined with something as harmless as small change in a pocket can be a recipe for disaster.
I was pretty shocked, really, that something that small could really create that big of an explosion or be that, volatile.
Some fear the dangers from these powerful batteries will only get worse.
As these batteries get bigger and their energy capacity grows, you could see not just like someone's pants pocket catching on fire, you could see bigger and bigger explosions. As the batteries get bigger, the potential for catastrophe gets bigger.
Now, phantom specters invade a museum. Security cameras capture evidence of a 4,000-year-old statue coming to life.
To see this thing spinning, it's really creepy.
Statues just don't move of their own accord.
Many believe a troubled spirit could be reaching out from beyond the grave.
Is it cursed? Is it possessed?
Manchester, England. In the heart of the city lies one of the oldest and most prestigious museums in Europe. Guarded by 24-hour surveillance and sealed within glass cases are sacred artifacts and relics from ancient Egypt.
Manchester Museum is one of the largest collections of Egyptian objects anywhere in Britain. We have about 18,000 objects in total.
February 2013. Egyptian antiques curator Campbell Price works late into the night. As he locks up, he sees something that he will never forget.
Walking through the gallery, I noticed that one of the pieces, a small statuette, had been turned to face the back of the case. It was usually stood facing the front, so I thought this was unusual.
A 10-inch high stone figurine taken from the tomb of an Egyptian official has somehow turned 180 degrees inside its sealed cabinet.
The first time I saw it, really, I thought someone had gone in and just made this one piece face the back of the case. So I thought someone was playing a trick on me. But the case is locked and alarmed, and I had one of the only keys.
The following morning, Price returns to check in on the statue. What he sees stops him in his tracks.
I came back the next day and it was in a different position, but it had moved again. My reaction was genuine bemusement.
Price turns to the museum's security cameras for clues to who or what is moving the statue. The tapes reveal a disturbing truth.
I think I shrieked. The results, when sped up, produced this really creepy-looking video of the statue spinning, the only thing moving in the case.
We always suspected that there was some element of the supernatural in the ancient world, especially ancient Egypt. And here it is before our very eyes.
Coming up, things get weird in the Michigan woods.
Oh my God, oh my God. The light that you see is the phantom train coming at you.
And experts solve the mystery of the bizarre spinning statue.
There's got to be some physical explanation for what's going on.
Manchester Museum, England. Security cameras capture evidence of an ancient Egyptian artifact, apparently coming to life. Records indicate the mysterious object was donated to the museum in 1933.
The reason it was given to the museum remains shrouded in mystery. All we do know is that it was found in a tomb alongside a mummy.
Ancient Egyptians mummified the dead to provide a vessel for the soul into the afterlife.
It's very important not to have the mummy disturbed. If you didn't allow the soul to go to the next phase, they could haunt you as ghosts.
Legend has it, tombs were cursed to protect the sacred mummies. But experts' analysis of the statue's hieroglyphs discovers no evidence of a deadly curse. Instead, they reveal a fervent prayer to the god Osiris.
The god Osiris is like the major ancient Egyptian god. He's the god of death and of the underworld, and he's the most feared and respected in all the land.
Experts believe whoever owned this statue used it as an insurance policy.
The idea is a statue represents a person if the mummy is destroyed. It becomes his backup vessel to take his soul to Osiris.
If this statue is a lifeboat, then the fact that it is spinning now on its own begins to make sense. So if this is him, incarnated in this statue, what is it trying to tell us?
For scientists, the idea that a spirit from beyond the grave is spinning the statue just doesn't add up. Chemist Andrea Sella from University College London examines the museum's surveillance footage for clues.
When you see something so kind of kooky and unexpected, it always piques your interest. And yet there's got to be some physical explanation for what's going on. The first question I'd ask is, what is the object actually made of?
Is there something about that material that the statue is carved from that is causing this movement?
Forensic microscopy reveals the statue is carved from a volcanic rock called serpentine.
Serpentine is a relatively common material in the Earth's crust. And we know that it contains tiny amounts of iron. It does show a very, very weak magnetic effect.
Andrea Sella tests if invisible forces could be at work.
We've actually suspended a piece of serpentine from this thread. And so let's get our magnet and see what happens when we bring it up to this rock. Look, it starts to actually follow the magnet.
Serpentine's magnetic properties suggest the statue could be moved by a magnetic field. The question is, what type and what strength?
Maybe if you had a spinning magnet underneath the statue, you could kind of encourage the statue to move around.
We can actually spin objects using magnets. And a good example of that is this piece of lab equipment called a magnetic stirrer. Now I have a little bar magnet, and I'm going to put it on the top. And you can see immediately that there must be something magnetic underneath. The attraction is quite strong. And if I turn the motor on, which causes the magnets underneath to go round, I can get this to spin. If we take our piece of serpentine and place it on top, it doesn't move. To see any kind of force, you would really need to have an enormous magnet moving around the outside. And of course, we don't see that. To me, magnetism really isn't within the realm of possibility.
Evidence from the statue makes Andrea Sella think there may be something else at work. He notices there's something about the base that's not right.
The
The fact that the base of this statue is not flat is really important. In fact, it's convex. In other words, it looks like the bottom of a spoon.
For physicist Ian Russell, the shape of the base reminds him of something else that seems to move on its own.
I could see daylight here, I could see daylight there. And immediately, I thought about a rattleback.
A rattleback is a semi-ellipsoidal toy that spins under certain conditions.
It seems likely to me that the convex base of this statue has similar properties to this. So when the statue wobbles ever so slightly, it turns ever so slightly.
The question is, what is causing the statue to start vibrating?
It seems to move that little bit faster during the daytime and that little bit slower at night. It might be that people walking up and down in front of the gallery, what they do is they make the floor move very slightly. Perhaps it's even the traffic outside.
One of the busiest daytime bus routes in Europe sits just 10 yards from the museum. To confirm if this is causing the sinister spinning, staff at the museum attach vibration sensors to the glass cabinet.
What they found was that there were quite a lot of vibrations during the day, you know, when the buses are going and when the people are going back and forth, but then it settled down at night, and that was correlated with the movement of the statue.
Remember that the motion of this statue is by a fraction of a millimeter with each one of these tiny jerks. Cumulatively, however, they add up to this beautiful and weird motion.
Scientists believe they've solved the mystery. The museum staff attach a rubber membrane to the statue's base. It's enough to subdue an object once thought to be possessed.
The statue is not spinning now, but people still come into the museum wanting to see it, associating it with the supernatural.
Coming up, an alien-like entity invades the sewers of Raleigh.
It's just gooey looking, and it's almost like it's got a heartbeat, like it's alive.
Deep beneath the city, a monster awakens. Have surveillance cameras disturbed a mutant life form?
It looks like this red blob. Then it starts writhing, it starts pulsating.
Experts have no idea what they're looking at. Some fear an invasion could be on the way.
There's thousands of miles of sewers underneath our cities. What else is living down there?
April 27th, 2009, Raleigh, North Carolina. Engineers perform a routine inspection of the city's sewer system. In charge of this underground network, Ed Buchan.
We serve roughly 560,000 people, but we also have 2,500 miles of sewer line that we maintain. So that's enough mileage to go from Raleigh, North Carolina to Las Vegas.
That much piping requires constant maintenance.
As you might imagine, underground utilities are difficult to inspect, so we've devised a system by which we put a robotic camera down the pipe.
Sewer engineer Q Brown has over 5 years' experience with these robotic cameras.
We use this type of system because it gives us more flexibility and more capability of getting in the pipe and actually seeing what's going on.
As the robotic camera tracks through the sewer, the team comes face to face with something beyond comprehension.
It's slimy. It's just gooey looking, and it's almost like it's got a heartbeat, like it's alive.
When the light from the robot shined on it, it retracted and reacted to the light.
The team often see creatures down here, but this alien encounter is something very different.
You'll find all sorts of different animals in there. They usually range from snakes, lizards, rats, to a plethora of insects like roaches and things like that. And they typically are going to run the other direction when they see a robotic device coming at them with a big light on it.
Whatever it is, this thing is not running away. It may react to the robotic lights, but it stands its ground. It seems impervious to dangerously high levels of hydrogen sulfide and ammonia, toxic gases deadly to humans. Buchan and his team need to find out what this pulsating creature could be before it spreads or attacks.
So I initially searched online for other examples of what this might be, and really came up with nothing. I was privately hoping that somebody would say, oh yeah, we've seen that all the time, it's been here, blah, 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 and we never got that.
All they have to go on is that this pulsing blob has suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The focus switches to possible entry points into the underground network. Maps of the sewer system reveal that part of the network runs close to medical research laboratories.
They call this the research triangle. It's in an area known for cutting-edge research. You have glow-in-the-dark bunny rabbits, you have mice with ears growing out of them, and you have research even combining pig embryos with human DNA. So you never know what kind of crazy things could be going on in these labs.
The proximity of the research labs to the sewer is enough to send the web into frenzied speculation. Mysteries investigator Lyle Blackburn has an alarming theory.
It's not hard to imagine that this pulsating ball was created by scientists and accidentally washed down the drain into the sewer.
Could the entity in the sewers have been created in one of these research labs?
This glistening blob is very pink and flesh-colored, and you gotta wonder if this red color isn't from hemoglobin, which is the chemical in our own blood that carries oxygen.
Meaning it could be some kind of mutant tissue taking on a life of its own. Worse, the surveillance camera may have angered it. And right now, no one knows how many more are down there. Coming up, a UFO descends on this crowd.
Oh, this is unbelievable, man.
It's kind of terrifying, but also kind of thrilling.
And find out what exactly the mutant sewer creature is.
We're talking about an animal that's almost indestructible.
Surveillance cameras have captured what appears to be a mutant mammal in the sewers of Raleigh, North Carolina. But biologist Mark Martindale thinks there has to be another explanation.
I think that the problem is that it's living in unfavorable conditions for any type of mammalian tissue because it wouldn't be able to maintain its normal body temperature. And so living in a cold, dark, wet sewer, if you came from a mammal, is pretty hard to believe.
Raleigh's sewer engineers still have no idea what they're dealing with or how dangerous it could be. Marine biologist Joseph Ryan thinks the presence of tentacle-like protrusions offers a clue to the creature's possible identity.
If you look at this thing and you're like, okay, what do we have to go on? It's gelatinous, we see its habitat. What animals could fit the bill? You could say maybe a jellyfish.
Jellyfish belong to a group of animals called cnidarians. They range from benign corals and anemones to the deadly sea wasp or box jellyfish. these animals can be highly dangerous. A single sea wasp is armed with enough venom to kill over 50 people. If the monster in the sewer is some kind of mutant jellyfish with the firepower of a sea wasp, there could be deadly consequences.
Imagine an army of these jellyfish pouring out of your faucet, stinging everything in sight.
But Martindale notices something missing in the footage that may rule out the jellyfish theory. Water.
They're called jellyfish for a reason because they don't really have any kind of internal or external skeleton. And so they need to be particularly submerged in water. Otherwise, the surface tension collapses the skin of the animal. So if it was a cnidarian, I'd really expect it to be shriveled up in some way.
The pulsing motion in the surveillance footage gives biotech scientist Tim Wood an idea. He thinks the sewer monster is not a single organism, but many creatures joined together.
It looks like a pulsing blob because when one contracts, then it will cause all the others to contract as well. And then that wave of contraction moves through the blob.
Wood believes he has the answer. He recognizes the writhing movement in the footage. It's a mass of worms.
We call them tubifex worms. When they're in a clump like that, you don't see the individual worms. You just see a mass of red writhing.
But these aren't regular worms. They live in some of the most hostile environments on Earth. Tubifex worms devour toxic metals like mercury and cadmium. Raleigh's sewers are the perfect place for them to thrive.
So here we're talking about an animal that's almost indestructible, that can deal with some of the most toxic chemicals on Earth.
A closer inspection of the tape reveals how a colony of superworms could be breeding underground.
When you look at the footage, it appears that they are entering the pipe through what appears to be a crack.
If they got through the crack and into the pipeline, well, there's no soil anymore, so there's no place to go except to hang on to other worms that have escaped, and eventually they would accumulate into that ball.
Raleigh authorities may believe the danger has passed, but all it takes is a crack in a pipeline, and more may be coming.
It's unnerving to think that something like those slime balls are down there breeding and multiplying undisturbed just a few feet below our city streets.
For those who've come face to face with the hideous blob, it's something they'll never forget.
I have never seen that many worms gather in one spot like that. And I hope in the next 5 years, me doing this, I don't come across nothing as disgusting as what's in that video.
Now, a strange light appears over the forests of Michigan. Surveillance cameras capture a fleeting glance as it hovers in the night sky.
Oh, this is unbelievable, man. Oh my God.
You would not expect light to just randomly appear out of nowhere in the sky.
Some suspect supernatural forces at work.
The light that you see is the phantom train coming at you.
Or could this small town be where we make first contact?
Are they floating in the sky? Are they moving at tremendous speed? We don't know.
Paulding, Michigan. A tiny speck of a town surrounded by dense forest. A highway carries the occasional car or truck through here. Otherwise, nothing disturbs this sleepy hamlet. But as day turns to night, Paulding comes alive. People arrive from hundreds of miles away. Surveillance cameras have captured something they all want to witness for themselves. Their very own close encounter.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Here you are out in the woods, surrounded by darkness, and this mysterious phenomenon sort of spontaneously takes place in front of your eyes. It's kind of terrifying, but also kind of thrilling.
Oh my God, oh my God.
unexplained eerie light draws mystified onlookers to this spot in the Michigan woods.
Oh my God, oh my God.
They're hoping to come face to face with extraterrestrials.
It almost looks like a flame. Yeah, it looks like a flame out there.
I do believe that something comes from somewhere. I don't know where, but it comes from somewhere and it appears in the sky, and it's captured a lot of interest.
Oh, this is unbelievable, man.
It appears in the night sky out of nowhere. It seems to hover, sometimes moving towards the crowds. Other times, it sits above the horizon, pulsing for minutes before suddenly disappearing. The lights don't appear in a pattern anyone can decipher. Many theories have been put forward, but no one knows for sure what the strange glow in the night sky is. One local resident has been studying the Paulding light for 20 years.
The first time I saw it from myself, there's a bright white light at the very, very end of the road. And it gives it kind of almost an illusion that it's coming at you.
Oh man, is this gonna look nuts?
It may look as if it's right in front of them, but strangely, some measurements place the light as far as 4 miles away. With so many baffled by this hypnotic vision, people turn to the supernatural for an explanation.
Oh, there it is again.
Here's another one.
It's like a flare almost.
The one that's the most popular is about a railroad brakeman.
The legend goes that the brakeman is fixing a broken track as a train hurtles towards him. He tries to signal to it, but is crushed.
The story is now that the light that you see is the phantom train coming at you, and the smaller lights that you see around the area is the brakeman still trying to warn people about the oncoming train.
Analysis of the video surveillance reveals a series of power lines running near the mystery lights. Experts believe these cables could be implicated. Electricity lines have been associated with strange lights in the past in an effect called coronal discharge. Coronal discharge occurs where two power lines connect. The high voltage at this point causes gases in the surrounding atmosphere to emit colorful glows. David Wallace of the High Voltage Laboratory at Mississippi State University believes he can recreate a coronal discharge in his lab.
So what we're going to try and do now is mimic what we see in the footage. So we're going to be creating a corona here between the two spheres, and then we will introduce a gas into the area. Dim lights.
Replicating the power lines in Paulding, Wallace applies 80,000 volts between the two spheres. His team introduces the gas. It glows a bright white, just like the Paulding light in the footage. The test shows that a coronal discharge is a possible explanation. But there's a problem. To mimic the exact color of the mystery light, Wallace used argon gas. This gas makes up less than 1% of the Earth's atmosphere. The chances of there being that much argon in one area of Paulding are extremely slim.
I'm not really convinced that this is a coronal discharge. Since argon is a rather rare gas, you would not expect to see such a high concentration in one area to give off the bright white hue that you see in a video. Now it has to beg the question, what is the lights that we're seeing? It's really odd.
Jeremy Boss is a specialist in atmospheric optics at Michigan Tech University. He's been studying the unidentified lights for over 20 years. Boss believes cracking the mystery may require an entirely different approach.
Well, like I said, the first thing was just to go out and see the light. Let's bring out a telescope and take pictures of it.
From what he observes at the viewing point, Boss develops a theory. He sets up a series of telescopes and cameras. As night falls, one of his research team drives their vehicle several miles out of town. On Boss's signal, his researcher switches on the car headlights. Boss records the event. The spheres of light look strikingly similar to the lights in the surveillance footage. Boss believes this is evidence that car headlights are creating this phenomenon.
Now we feel that we can explain it. And not only do we have an explanation, we can recreate it.
But not everyone buys this as a complete explanation. It doesn't answer how witnesses experience the lights moving so dramatically and high in the sky.
The explanation that these are cars only takes you so far. You have to explain how is it that these cars could be perceived at that distance in a way that seems that they're moving around.
Jeremy Boss digs deeper, looking for a way to explain these anomalies. He discovers something about the local landscape that could finally solve the mystery of this spooky light show. The Paulding viewing point is in a valley. Here, cold air gets trapped beneath a layer of warmer, thinner air. It's called a temperature inversion. This change in air density can make objects that are miles away appear much closer. It can even alter the direction of light rays.
When it happens, it can cause the rays that would normally be straight going from one point to another to actually bend.
Boss thinks the surveillance cameras are capturing this effect. Even though it looks like a ghostly light dancing high in the sky, most scientists believe it's car headlights traveling along the highway.
Oh my God, oh my God.
But this doesn't stop the crowds from gathering every night to see if just possibly, science may not have all the answers.